back to the Larry Kudlow Show.
So the question now is, what's the economy look like? Not what it should look like. What does it actually look like? So we're going to bring in an ace, my friend Joe LaVorgna, who was a former chief economist at the White House National Economic Council. He is now chief economist at SMBC Nikko Securities. Joe, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thank you, Larry.
So I'm reading your one of your latest pieces from yesterday. The leading economic index fell again, declining 0.5% in May, the 26th decline in the last 27 months, the lowest since April 2020. That was pandemic. Plus, Joe, retail sales looked awfully weak when we got it earlier in the month for May. And also, yesterday, the housing numbers, existing home sales, and actually starts were also very bad. I mean, it looks like you're in a real slump in housing. So what's going on here? How soft is the economy?
Larry, the economy, the leading indicators of the economy, not just the index you highlighted, but the yield curve, bank lending standards, temporary or staffing employment, all those variables have been saying the economy should have entered recession a long time ago. And because it has, a lot of economists have sort of given up hope and say, look, we're not going to have a recession. And maybe they're correct. Question is, why hasn't the economy turned over? Because the cyclical parts like housing, manufacturing, ISM, for example, has been below 50 for many, many months. They all are either in recession or close to a recession. I think the answer why the economy hasn't dipped into a downturn, Larry, is because the government is spending a tremendous amount of money. We're running budget deficits this year close to 6%, maybe close to 7% actually, this year with unemployment under 4%. I think that's why the economy looks and feels strong, but there are major pockets that aren't doing particularly well. So I think, as long as the government spends way beyond its means, it keeps growth afloat for the time being. But this, to me, Larry, is not what I call a stable equilibrium. And I do eventually look for the economy to tilt to the downside, but just probably not yet.
You're right about the government spending, and deficit's $2 trillion as far as the eye can see. But all this other, if consumers are soft and business is soft. I mean, I was looking, I know industrial production went up. It's been very soft. It went up in May. But if you look under the hood, business equipment spending is very bad. So retail sales are soft. Disposable income, right? Real disposable income. So that's income after taxes and after inflation. That's been actually negative. And real wages, real weekly wages continue to fall because hours worked are soft. I mean, I don't know, Joe. It's a funny story. The traditional leading indicators don't seem to be leading indicators anymore. But it's sort of hard to understand what can hold up this economy much longer. One last one, Joe LaVorgna. The Atlanta Fed GDP Now tracker, they're looking at 3% in the second quarter. And I don't know what they're smoking because I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, no, 3% to me is you are going to get a big rebound in government spending, which was weak in the first quarter. So that's part of it. But the weakness in consumer spending, I do think, is notable. And, one of the things that's happening, Larry, again, the index-linked indicators probably overweights manufacturing. And it's only about 10% of the economy. So that's one of the reasons why maybe it may not be as accurate as it normally is. But the other thing that's happening is with the government spending as much money as it is, the Fed's keeping rates higher longer to offset the inflation that the government effectively is helping create by keeping aggregate demand artificially higher than it's otherwise supposed to be. My guess, though, Larry, is that with the labor market weakening, you are seeing softness in the household survey. I do believe the payroll data are overstating strength because of these adjustments they make that probably don't fully capture what's been happening. Because if you look at the small business surveys, they don't look very good. Their hiring intentions, their capital spending plans suggest softness, which is why that business equipment series you highlighted in the production data probably more accurate as far as where the broader trends are going.
And Joe, one more thing. Weekly unemployment claims have just started to jump up.
Yeah, they're edging higher. It's something to keep an eye on. I mean, we were well under 200. Now we're up around 230, 235. It's like a slow burn, Larry. I guess the point is that the economy is holding up. We have to ask ourselves why. And we have never run a budget deficit close to 7%, having last year was around 6%, with the economy close to full employment. And then therefore, we have to figure out, what does the government spending side of the equation doing to the economy, and how is that changing traditional modeling? At some point, I do worry the bond market will not tolerate all of this spending. And the fact that we've front-loaded so much supply in the bill sector, 75%, Larry, of the $2 trillion we're issuing is inside 1 year. The Treasury, at some point, regardless of who's in office, is going to have to extend their borrowing mix much further out the curve. Does that lead to a tightening of financial conditions with much higher interest rates, higher mortgage rates?
Yeah.
Possible.
All right. Great rundown. Joe LaVorgna, again, he's chief economist at SMBC Nikko Securities. He was my chief economist at the White House National Economic Council. Best of the best. Thank you, Joe. Folks,
Thank you, Larry.
A quick break, and then Ken Kachigian on Nixon and Reagan.
Long Island is more exciting than ever at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel. Get ready to zoom into some serious cash with Zoom Ball every Wednesday in June. Win up to $500,000. 1 point equals 1 entry. 2 lucky winners will be drawn at the top of every hour from 1 to 5 p.m. to play Zoom Ball. Discover the excitement at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel.
If gambling is a problem for you or someone, please call the 24-hour toll-free helpline at 877-8-HOPE or text NY.